Part of my project is to put these desk grommets in my desk so that, let me back out a little bit here, so that I can feed cables up from the bottom and have them not sprayed all over the place, all over the desk. I'm going to put 2 of them in. I've pretty carefully measured this. I've put a little mark here where I'm going to first drill a pilot hole through, then I'm going to use this hole saw. These are pretty small grommets, these are 1.5. I'm going to use this hole saw to go through this MDF. Wish me luck. Here goes nothing. Okay, the pilot hole is drilled, and next I come in with the hole saw. So it'll, go in there and drill out this hole, which is the right size for this grommet. Okay, I've gone about halfway in. Now I'm going to come up from the bottom so that I have a clean hole on both sides. Not that it matters that much, but I noticed that the plastic laminate on top of this MDF, when I put the pilot hole through, it broke out a couple of pieces of that on the bottom. So I just want to make the hole clean on both sides, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, the hole's all the way through. There's the plug, and you can see the carpet underneath. I didn't do the most beautiful job on it. Looks like I tilted a bit from the bottom, which isn't all that surprising, given that it's hard to judge angles when you're coming up from underneath. The important thing is, does the grommet fit? Yes, it does. Nice. So it's not as snug as I hoped. So I can make that tight with some gaffer's tape or whatever around the edges so that it stays more snug. Okay, here's the first hole again. You can see I didn't do the greatest job on the edges here. It's not that big a deal. Remember, I said I would put a grommet in here. And the grommet has 2 parts. See if I can separate them with one hand. I'm using my iPhone, so not the greatest situation. So the edges don't matter all that much because you're going to put a grommet in there and that'll look nice when you're done. But let's go over to the other hole. I used a little more technique on this one, not a lot. On this one I ran the hole saw backwards to score the surface before I went forward. And that cut down on the chipping. But again, the grommet's going to go in there and nobody will know any better. This one fits a little better. There's a little material inside there, so the grommet kind of snaps in nicely. So you feed your wires through here and then drop that into place, and you have a neat way for your cables to come up from the bottom. Okay, here's my desk in the process of being set up, and I've got the computer up and running. So you can see that one of the grommets I'm using to feed the monitor signal and power cables down through, as well as my keyboard's cord. And I can't stand the fact that Apple doesn't make a wireless keyboard that's full size anymore. So I kind of have to live with this white cable going across my black desk, but whatever. The grommet is doing what I was hoping for, and there's more stuff that I could put through there as I set my desk up the rest of the way. Okay, now this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I'm sorry about the lighting. It's hard to light this black stuff. Anyway, this is the big shelf system that sits, that's kind of part of the second desk. And I've, for a very long time, wanted an electronics port there. So I made another grommet hole here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be able to put a grommet in, even though it's very thin material. So that'll let me hook up a surge protector or whatever. Admittedly, the material being so thin is suboptimal for a grommet, but that fits in there really beautifully. On the back side here, I'm just going to come in, hard to do this, I have crappy lighting today, with some gaffer's tape to hold the grommet into position. I think that'll work out really well. Okay, here's the gaffer's tape in place. So this cross shape is what I put in first, and then I wrapped gaffer's tape around that, and it's pretty firm, at least as firm as it needs to be now. So that holds the grommet in place from the back.